Good morning, everyone. They made me do this, by the way. Welcome to Cut the Shit, Cue the Genius. I'm Michelle Bruno. I'm here with Liz Caruso, and up in the corner there is Ruckus Maker, which, doesn't even begin to explain, even the half of it. Anyway, welcome, everyone. Our weekly webcast, webisode, podcast, call it whatever you want. It's just a gathering of friends and colleagues and anyone else that wants to join in on our conversation. We're going to be talking about egregious conference calls today. And I know every one of you, Liz, and you and me have been in on a conference call that was like the Grim Reaper just snatched you out of your regular life. And, it's like an hour or two or 8 that you're never going to get back. So let's talk about that. What's that about? Why do people want to even have those? What do you do if you're in one? And, how do we cope? So let's get started with ding, 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 ding. Dahlia, I think this was kind of your topic, right? So what were you about? Were you trapped in one of these things?
Yes, it's been painful. Well, first and foremost,
yeah,
I honestly think that with conference calls and meetings, you need to start it off with some dancing. And I think that just throws the energy in a very different place than when people are coming in and they're like, oh God, yet another one. Hey, Joe. So.
Okay, stop. Stop it right there. When I think of every horrible conference call I've ever been in, and the idea that we would all start dancing would be so awkward.
But see, then it just flips everybody's energy and they're like, what the F just happened? Why are we dancing? And then you set the expectations in a different energy field. I honestly believe in that right now. And I don't know why it took us a Corona coaster to go through this. Granted, there's some others that are more disciplined than myself that before the Corona coaster, they're like, these type of meetings are not working for me. It's too long, too short. The meme that went around was, oh, this meeting could have been an email. Yeah. Okay. So I think this is about, first and foremost, setting expectations, and it is about energy. That's where that's my two things.
I think it's even before that.
Yep.
Like Sean said, the meeting before the meeting. I think before that, it's like, do we need to have a meeting? Let's ask everyone who's going to be on the meeting and everyone who's calling the meeting. John, do we really need a meeting? That's like point number 1.
Yep.
I think it is good, especially with the remote workforce, to have occasional meetings, but they should be purposeful. They can't just be like when I was contracting for an agency during Corona, we would have them weekly, whether you wanted to go or not, whether you liked it or not. And I don't know, I was a little bit ambivalent because, I loved seeing my colleagues face to face, and we would talk basically about nothing or other people in the company. But on the other hand, it's like, I'm getting paid by the hour and, TikTok. So.
Yeah, the worst are recurring meetings, where they just especially for projects, and they're set for an hour or sometimes, God forbid, more than that. And then the expectation is, this is how we're going to keep our progress moving is through these meetings. If you didn't have these meetings, then I guess no one would just work. People would just hang around. And then at the last deadline, I'm a big believer in deadlines, but the meetings are just out of control. And granted, I hate meetings in the first place, whether they're in person or virtually, but just such a freaking waste of time. This is one of the topics I could just.
Let's back up for a second and really share what makes up a shitty conference call or meeting from the get-go.
Long list.
Yeah, long list, too long, just length. Yeah.
What about
unclear expectations?
Yeah.
Unclear expectations. So no agenda, no idea of who's bringing what to the table. Are we on video? We're not on video. That shouldn't be a question that you're determining at the moment based on whoever felt like putting on video first, or there should be some expectation around what kind of time commitment this is going to take and what you're going to get out of that. It kills me when I've been to so many meetings where you get there and they're like, okay, well, I guess we don't really need Liz here because like we're not covering that topic today. Like, what?
Yeah, I just set aside time. I found my kids out to the neighbors.
Yeah. I threw out the car
and dressed in earrings and hair. And now it's like, oh, we don't need Liz there.
Top phrase I hate is like, you just won back an hour. I'm like, no, I still lost the hour.
Yeah.
Because I planned my whole time around your stupid conference call that you didn't need anyway. Yeah. So I think it's like expectations. I love when a meeting has an agenda and there's times and there's a lead associated with that agenda and there's an expectation that you're going to share, and that if you don't have anything to share, you remove yourself. I don't care if you have a standing meeting, but then like I could look in the day before and see like, oh, it's only going to be 20 minutes tomorrow. But no, like the effort you're talking about, Dahlia, with music I mean, come on, no one's even thinking about even close to that level of energy.
If I buy you a Starbucks and start a meeting with music,
yes, I would love it.
Okay, there you go. Yes. That's what we need to do. Like we're changing.
Well, what if I don't like your music? What if I don't like your music? I come to the
where we can build a Spotify list, Bruno. I mean, then we can.
Well, the Spotify list we made for you was about music about you.
It was about women.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was kind of. I listen to it every morning. So, setting expectations, setting leads, setting time, and then in between, so that people are not. I think a pet peeve of mine, and what I really, really, I don't use the word hate, like do not care for, is where you're sharing the same thing as the last meeting, or you're rehashing, well, this was the project, blah, blah, blah. No, tell me what happened. Like, tell me the next steps, or else communicate via Slack in between or whatever. So that you're not just rehashing. There's always that one person. And this is not like, I mean, in different client event meetings and so forth, where they're like, well, this is what we talked about last week. And then they go for like 10 million minutes. And then this is what we did, but I'm not even there yet. And they're not even there yet. So like, I honestly think that there needs to be a way of conveying what is the activity or progress, or else just put it in a flippin' project management system and call it a day.
And there has to be someone who like manages the meeting, who is planning in advance what we're covering and setting expectations. Like we've all been in those meetings with the person who just loves to hear themselves talk and they're not even really talking about anything. You're thinking like, we could have been done already. So some expectation, like I used to work in a company, this was a long time ago, where they just had like stand-up meetings, which I know are super popular. The entire company comes together, everyone gets 2 minutes and you stand up and you go in a circle. And it's kind of nice because you don't want to go on too long because no one wants to stand in that circle for more than they have to. And I was thinking like, what's the virtual equivalent to this? Is like, I love when Zoom cuts you off after 45 minutes, those people who don't have like the paid accounts, like, oh, we have 2 minutes and suddenly you get everything done. But someone has to like manage the expectations, like get to the point, share what's been done next, otherwise.
You kind of feel also with online meetings, it's like, it just feels uncomfortable. You don't want to be the first one to say, okay, I think we're done here, and click the button and leave. I don't know. There's like an uneasy, like, is it time to leave now? Should we wait for like someone else to leave and then we can leave, or should we just bite the bullet and go, okay, I'm done. Click, you're gone. Free everyone else up. Because when the first person goes, then everyone's like, oh yeah, click, bye.
Yeah. Jill is going to start playing music. John Chen agrees on the music thing. I think we're starting a trend here. Why not? Let's do it.
Yeah.
John says you should only have a meeting when it requires 2 or more people to make decisions together. And I think to that point, how many meetings do you need where everyone needs to be on these calls? I think most of your meetings should be 2 or 3 people for 10 to 15 minutes. Hash it out. bring that back. And I mean, it's not like we can't communicate with each other in other ways. Like,
Right.
use
In
your
between.
Asana, use your
Let me
Slack.
present another side of the argument, though. Meetings can, in a way, be a lot more brief than what you would do if you didn't have a meeting. So if you didn't have a meeting and you needed to convey a lot of information, you'd have to create a big memo, you'd have to, do a big long email, you'd have to have maybe a number of Slack conversations. Maybe we're looking at this the wrong way. Even though it's uncomfortable and sometimes boring and even disrespectful to call a meeting for no reason, maybe this is more efficient. Isn't that like the reason why we have video collaboration in the first place? Productivity, collaboration, stuff like that. What do you guys think about that? Is it actually more efficient, even though it's far more difficult sometimes and egregious and boring? Or we just make them exciting, like Dahlia said. Change like a background. Today it's like pets in the background, and then the next day it's whatever. Make it
Ringmaster of the shit show.
Yeah. Move around to different areas in the house.
John Chen is the king of that. Like, he changes his surroundings, poof, like a magician.
He does.
Well, you could do a green screen. You could require a green screen stuff and put in whatever your fake background is. Have contests, background contests. I don't know.
So Laura is with us. She's the LinkedIn user, where she says a meeting should be held when discussion and feedback are needed.
Yeah. Yeah. Immediate discussion and feedback.
Immediate discussion or feedback.
Yeah. Except that with everyone's schedule, it's really hard to have a meeting in the moment when you really need an answer. That's what Slack is for.
But it'd be a lot easier if we didn't have our calendars filled with so many crappy meetings. Everyone would have more time than you could. Because I do think there's definitely times where a phone call or a video works best. Sometimes you just got to hash it out. And it could take a billion other ways to do it.
Dahlia, are you getting the impression you should never ask Liz to join one of our
I know, don't ask me. I told you, I'm working on my manifesto. You want to have a call, here's what you need to know.
Yeah.
The manifesto with the clients?
Yeah, everyone.
You jam everything into it 10 minutes, usually. Is it one of those things? Like, you could say if you're live, it's a stand-up meeting. If you're on video, it's a 10-minute meeting. Oh, I love the alliteration there. 10 minutes.
Bruno just
it just makes me tingle.
Wait, Joe said something. Bruno. I think there should be a new platform that automatically cuts the meeting feed at 10 minutes. People get to that point when they're on the clock.
I like it. And if you really need it, you jump back on, but you wouldn't need it 90% of the time. Or use the technology for what it's for. When you have these really long meetings, how many people do these meetings on Zoom and never use Zoom breakouts? You could be having 4 meetings at the same time. You all go work things out, come back, share what you learned after 10 minutes, done. Instead of every team working it out in front of everyone else.
Only one person in the company knows how to make breakouts.
I know.
That's the problem. And it wouldn't be me.
Well, I'm also curious. I mean, on that note, how many people truly utilize an Otter as a note taker, or the capabilities that it has right now, or Super Normal, etc., where it actually takes the meeting and all the gab and then turns it into highlights, and then also able to have an agenda in there. Or that you are also able to have a task list that people are using for the next meetings, or using for progress between meetings.
Well, I don't think those tools are quite there yet in terms of, they'll capture all the information, they'll summarize it, they'll whatever, but they're not doling it out to people okay, here, Dahlia, you have these 5 things to do, and Liz, you have these 10. That's why you need sort of a meeting leader or a project manager whose job it is to get all that data and then push it out to the people. That would be great.
Okay.
I think that would be amazing. I do not volunteer for that, but I think it would be amazing.
I'm actually loving super normal at the moment versus
Mhm.
otter.
Mhm.
I feel
love
like I
super.
never go back to that stuff or the recordings. I'm
Yeah, that's the other
very
thing.
rarely go back to those recordings. John is saying, though, you can search a Zoom recording transcript for any keyword. I guess if you knew what you were looking for, that would be helpful. Most of the time, those meetings are over, and I'm kind of like, okay, we just wasted an hour. I wouldn't go back
No,
and
but,
watch
and then
them.
they're over, but they give you more work.
Yeah.
They should. I mean, meetings should give you some work.
The
Some,
never-ending
not
meeting.
more.
Yeah. No, not more and endless. No.
So real quick. So John says, how about on your feet to keep it brief approach, standing desks for Zooms, or if in person, great too. On your feet to keep it brief.
I have seen webinars where the speakers are standing. I mean, that seems to actually be helpful because there's a level of urgency, I think, associated with that. Like you just feel like, it's like eating food. If you don't want to interrupt someone eating food, you don't want to like linger if someone's standing. I don't know. Maybe that's the key.
Yeah, maybe like all the meetings on the couch are a little too comfortable for people.
I prefer meetings from bed. Just,
Me too,
it's
but
very comfortable. And, there's just something about having a pillow here and the whole thing, but it's awkward if the camera's on.
So that was my next question. What do you ladies think about cameras on all these meetings? Now you almost like it's rude to be cameras off.
Right.
I have had people ask me to turn the camera on
Yeah.
so that they could see me. And I thought, oh, crap, I think it's probably necessary. Just, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I honestly think we're in an age and time where, yes, you need to have your cameras on, and yet you need to know your team members and read the Zoom or read the room, because you do have, neurodivergent people that don't want to be on camera.
Mhm.
And so why would you make them uncomfortable? So if you don't know them and you're forcing them to, it's like when you pick on someone and you know for a fact they're an introvert, or they are fermenting an idea, or maybe they shared their insights or something one-on-one, not one to many, then I would say you need to know the team members. You can't put them in a position where it's like calling them out, for example.
Mhm. What about, when someone's kind of droning on a little bit off topic and you say, why don't we take this offline? Which is great for everyone on the original meeting, but then you're stuck having another meeting with another person. And if there's more than one person doing that, then you've got then a third meeting and a fourth. It's like a spore, it just explodes. And then you have like 4 times the meetings. So is that a good thing or bad thing, taking it offline?
If it's not going to include the other 25 people,
Yeah.
then I would say you have to. But that goes back to the whole personality and setting the expectations.
Mhm.
So going back to what everybody was saying, and to the manifesto that Liz King is going to share with us, maybe by tomorrow.
By tomorrow.
Hey, what kind of manifesto? This is like the Liz King manifesto?
It's just, I want to have a list of things. Like if you're going to meet, if you want to meet.
You're going to meet me if you want me.
No, but it goes both ways. I would not expect, that I'm going to schedule a meeting and not follow the same rules. So that's really where I'm like refining it and trying to, like standard doesn't have to be 60 minutes. I'm totally cool with 12 minutes on my calendar if that's what you need, or 17 minutes or whatever. Like be round 15, 30. So things like that. Have an agenda in advance. If you don't have an agenda, let's reschedule. If you don't have it 24 hours before the event, unless it's, or, before the meeting. Mm-hmm. I just think there are certain things I want to set out front, like cameras on or off, totally based on your own preference and what you have going on. Like I'm a person who can't just sit and talk unless, granted, there are moments, right? Like a new client you're meeting for the first time. Okay, fine, video on.
Like you have to lull them into this false sense of
it's like if you really knew what
I will always give my attention to you. And then once you're signed, bam. Here comes
That's what the filters are all about.
And you got 12 minutes.
Filters are
Get in
all
line,
like,
sister.
yep.
It's not to be like snooty. It's just honestly, it's a waste of everyone's time, their time as well. You know, the idea is like there are so many ways to work, and and I find like at least in my own schedule, and you guys know I'm managing the kids in the background and all kinds of things. The most stressful parts of my day are trying to get ready for damn video calls because they're a waste of time. And then everyone wants it to be perfectly quiet and perfectly beautiful in the background. And like, that's just not my reality. And even when I was working without kids, I'm the kind of person, like I can totally have a good conversation with you and know what you're saying and cook a whole meal or be cleaning something, or you know what I mean? Like,
that is part of the manifesto or the expectations. The expectations is like the personas that are on the meeting, right? It's like yesterday I had 2 client calls and they were both off camera because they were taking care of sick children. And they're here apologizing. I'm like, you just wasted 5 minutes. Do not apologize to me. I don't want any sorries anymore.
In society, you have to apologize all the time for the kids.
No freaking way anymore.
So Dolly, you were mad you didn't get to see the kids.
What?
That's what you were mad about, that you didn't get to see the kids.
I'm like, yeah, and where's that damn dog that's doing the squeaky tour? I want to know who that dog is, you know. Yeah. But like the whole idea is, I think we've come to a point where it is setting expectations. Liz King multitasks and she's kick-ass at it. Like, you know, Bruno has bunny slippers on and is in bed. Does not mean that you do not have her brain for 20 hours. Okay. But I think that's part of the manifesto or the expectation. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe it is every single company or the way you do business. You in the kickoff call is that you say this is how we are going to conduct the meetings, and have everybody just say this is what I'm comfortable with. This is not disrespectful in any way. I think we just need to move past that. The whole thing about apologies.
Say it. You have to say it out loud. Like it has to be written somewhere before someone jumps on the call. I fully trust that you're in control of your environment. I'm in control of mine. If you want to be on camera, cool, off, fine. There's noise in the background that you don't want everyone hearing. You're old enough to mute. If for some reason, you know, it's like super awkward when
before someone gets on a call with you, they have to sign your terms and conditions.
I'm not against it.
That they're read everything that's required. After that click happens, then Zoom turns on.
But you know what's funny is because I feel like this is the one area where it's, for me, I will say it's a control thing, because people feel like they can control you by scheduling these meetings and like making them happen their way. And I see this all the time in corporate America where people are working remotely and stuff. And it's like, you know, you're expected to sign on at this time exactly once an hour and show your screen. And you know what I mean? It's like, what do you think your people are doing? Like, if you can't trust them to be working. So I just think it's a society thing that I do think is going to change. I would love to see a world where like the dogs with the squeaky toys are on the camera and the kids are running in the back. And if I'm not an adult enough to mute myself, then you don't hire me next time. You know, like I do think we're moving towards that world, but we're not there yet at all. So I feel like it's, again, not to be nasty. It's just kind of, you have to set some expectations and say like, and this is what I'm holding you to too. Just so you know, like, don't feel like you have to apologize for anything going on in your life. We'll do the meeting. If we need to reschedule, we can reschedule. Obviously, that's not going to happen all the time, or we're not going to work together. But we're here to accomplish something. And if we can accomplish it, why does it matter what exactly it looks like? I don't know.
Who's Mando?
Who's Mando?
Talk like Mando?
This is the way. I don't know, but I'm about to find out.
Oh.
That's Liz multitasking. Google Mando.
That is. I have all these tabs after our calls. I'm like, now I got to go look at Pro's hair care we were talking about before.
All right. So we're setting agenda. We're setting expectations. And maybe it would be kind of cool that, you know, like how when some people say, oh, use the chat to introduce yourself, or where are you beaming in from and stuff. Maybe this is where you say, this is how I operate on a call or a meeting, etc.
What is the thing about chiming from? Is that an icebreaker? Tell us
What
where
is-
you're from. What is
Yeah.
the purpose of that?
That's like the friendly part of the conversation, I guess.
To prove that there's actually people in this meeting besides.
No,
Just to prove that you're there.
that
Yeah.
you're paying attention.
To show that
It's
you
like,
heard the
ooh,
question. It's like
ooh,
being
someone's
quizzed.
in Fort Lauderdale. Ooh, cool. I was there in spring break once in college. Ooh, I don't
So
know.
Joe has a good point.
What?
No,
I
he's
think
sweet.
a lot of the managers are forcing hourly screen
Oh.
checks, are just projecting what they are doing on others.
Mm-hmm.
How do you wait? I've never been in that position.
Yeah, there are like corporations where you're supposed to jump on video at scheduled times
Mm-hmm.
throughout the day to show that you're like in an office working, or you're forced to take calls on a certain schedule so that they know like you couldn't just like go out for lunch for an hour and a half instead of an hour. It's just like such micromanaging.
Well, this is why
What's that gonna do for
Gen Z is
culture, though?
quiet quitting and
Yeah,
doing
well, all the
all
things we've been
stuff.
talking about. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
So it's gonna come to a point where it's like, you know, there won't be there won't be trust enough.
There's not already. That's the issue.
That's Piper. Piper's meeting Tess.
Oh, Tess is
Give me one.
here. Yay. But see, this is normal. This is
Mhm.
everybody's normal life if you're working from home, you know?
Yeah.
So like, and that's fine. We can continue the conversation when she comes back in. We could loop her back in if she missed something, which she didn't, but you know.
I wonder if, yeah, I mean, at the beginning of remote work, it's like you're making me work remotely, so you have to like play it my way. But now they want everyone to come back to work. So can you be as demanding? Not us, because we don't have offices, but
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if regular workers can be demanding about when and if they attend meetings, because then, then your boss can say, yeah, you need to come. If you don't like it,
We have a
Who's
live
around it?
guest.
I guess. Hey, there's something growing out of your ear, honey.
It is.
Oh, I don't know what's going on there.
She's on a conference call.
So
Everyone meet Tess. If you don't know Tess, say hi to Tess. You know everybody that's on here. So.
John and
What-
Tracy and Sean.
Yeah.
And Sean.
Yeah, they're all here.
Oh,
There's a lot
hey,
of Seans.
Joe.
So what's your pet peeve about conference calls? And you can curse if you want.
Oh, that's right. This is a shit show. Okay. My pet peeve about conference
You're
calls.
fine,
You
you're
didn't say video conferencing. You said conference calls.
Okay, take it a step further then.
I think my pet peeve is that people don't pay attention.
Oh.
Don't pay attention. They don't.
We
You have
just
to repeat
outlined it
yourself
last
100
time.
times and they don't pay attention. And then for video conferencing, I hate that people don't respect when people don't want to be on camera. Or don't preface as to why they are not on camera first and respect that. I think that there are times when people should be, and it should be told in the meeting that you're required to do it and then do it and be prepared for it. But when it's not and it's just loosey-goosey, I think, people should come in and excuse themselves and be allowed to do that, because then that falls back to we're doing a real conference call, and it doesn't have to be a video conference. So
and you're spot on. You came on the tail end of the show, but like you just like
You wrapped it up.
summed it all up where we were talking about need expectations to be set.
Yeah.
And Liz is going to present us with a manifesto
please,
in regards to.
I do have a draft. It's in my email.
Yeah, let's do it.
Anybody who wants Liz's manifesto about conference calls and so forth, you just have to pay like $1 million. All right.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you'll see it next time.
But the whole idea of not paying attention. So one last thing. What about what is great prompts on a conference call? Like if you want to say something or like say, is it still hands up? Is it the emoji? Do you like tap on the screen? What's the latest right now?
I think people should create their own.
And
like you have a key to everything.
Yeah.
I think that people should create their own standard. Like you need to tell them whether or not they need to have their video on or not, and then give them like a little key as to what it is, and make it fun for everyone instead of just
Music.
dealing with what's good.
Could also be music. So it could be the, Jeopardy music. I got something to say. Dun, 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 dun.
Or I think just having like the personality in the calls, because I've been on so many calls where it's just like droning. It almost sounds like you're just reading your updates from some, today we accomplished this, that, you're like, oh my God, could we? So like technology gives us a lot of power, like play videos, play music, show your work in a different way, pull up a mural and collaborate. It's like everyone's just boring.
They're boring.
And then you wonder
you know what it's like? It's as if virtual didn't happen and didn't exist, and somewhere in somebody's mind they said, oh, I need to go back to face only, and I need to go back to stuff. Those are the boring people who are going to drag our industry back down to the pits.
Hallelujah. We have to end right there.
Whoa, on that note.
Yeah, how much coffee did you get?
I didn't get any. That's the problem.
Oh, I think I am calling this meeting to an end.
Gavel.
So I don't know, Liz, do we have stuff to like put up our next topic?
Oh yeah. Hold on. Let me just like click around here.
Housekeeping. There we go. Look at what we're going to be talking about next week. Tools to power event profs. AI tools.
AI
tools. Tess, this is your thing.
Yeah, that's my thing. I guess I need to join, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. I think we need Tess. Oh, and on the 23rd, how to ace Google Sheets.
Yes.
We need that.
We need to,
that's a Liz favorite right there.
What's a Google Sheet? Like a Google spreadsheet? That thing?
Excel. It's Excel.
Okay. I was going to say a Google Excel. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for being with us. Can we have music, Liz?
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.